Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. We're just gonna be playing Ranbats in the background while I'm discussing what the future of SSOU might entail in terms of tiering, in terms of ban, suspecting. You know how it is. So all of the big stuff. So first off, we just banned Pheromosa, which is pretty important in my eyes. Oh, it's Balloon. That's not great. Because that was a Pokemon that was really restrictive in the metagame. It was super strong and fast, and we had to run one of a small pool of Pokemon to really make sure we kept it in check, and that was not always possible. So I'm excited now that we're in a place that allows for us to maybe act in a more efficient fashion for the sake of the metagame, if you will. I.e., I believe that there are less things broken now than there were, say, a week or two ago, because Pheromosa is gone, and now there's a bit more defensive versatility, so we can keep things in check. However, I do think there are some Pokemon that are still a bit more restrictive in the metagame, and these Pokemon right now are Spectra and also Urshifu. I know a lot of people think that Pheromosa is a problem right now, and I understand why that might be the case. I too think that Pheromosa should be discussed here. So we're going to be discussing Pheromosa, Urshifu, and Spectre. Three Pokemon that I think, without a doubt, are really the three most controversial Pokemon right now. So let's talk about Urshifu first. Urshifu, in my opinion, is the most broken Pokemon. If you aren't using Clefable or Buzzwole, you're going to be shit out of luck against that thing. You're probably losing something to it. And when you pair it with Future Sight, it doesn't really even have any checks like these either. Because let's say it's turn one, you go for a Scald as they go to their, whatever, their grass type. You can live a hit from their, Tangrowth though. So you go for Future Sight, Teleport, whatever it might be. This is a bad example, but you get the point. You go Future Sight turn one, then you tank the hit, you go for Teleport turn two, and you bring in Urshifu, and they're in range. Be it against a grass type or against something else, I don't know, whatever it might be. And all of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, nothing is able to take Wicked Blow plus Future Sight. I could go to my Hydreigon, but then I risk, losing the close combat. Or my Mandibuzz, I could risk losing the close combat. I could go to my normal check encounter, my, Toxapex, my Buzzwole, my Clefable, but all of a sudden, I'm too KO'd after the Future Sight. That's a huge problem. And the fact of the matter is that combination is just really unhealthy for the metagame as it stands right now. And yeah, you could argue, oh, but what if Future Sight's a problem or Slowbro is a problem? But no, because it doesn't really have the same effect with other things. But even without Future Sight support, like moving beyond that sub point, if you will, there's also the fact of the matter that Urshifu just hits real hard. And even without it, only Clefable and Buzzwole are checks encounters. And Buzzwole is dying out a ton without Karen Black being used a ton, without Zyger being used a ton, with Melmetal slowly dying out in usage, and with more Guard Shot running Fire Blast, all of a sudden, there's less and less and less reason to actually make use of something like a Buzzwole on your team. I'm not saying it's bad, it's certainly viable in the metagame, but you kind of have to think twice before using it now. And that really does not help any of this, honestly. Okay, that's fine. We got Keldeo here, yeah, no big deal. A sub in case they switch. Yeah, screw it. Why would I do that? They're gonna obviously stay. I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, all of this aside, I also think another point that is worth noting is the fact that things can have counters but still be broken. Case in point, Pheromosa, Aegislash pretty much countered it. Toxapex countered non-equivalent sets. Clefable countered, most sets. Those are three Pokemon that are viable, two Pokemon that are very good in the metagame, but because it limited to just those Pokemon, it became really hard. With Urshifu, it's a little different. There's Clefable and Buzzwole, as we discussed, but then, on top of that, things like Primarina can live any one hit, even a Poison Jab, and potentially beat it back. Things like Cores with Toxapex Mandibuzz can do that, but they don't really deal with it too on the long term, and that's when it becomes super problematic, in my opinion. So you really have to be careful with how you compose your teams against it, because in a sense, yeah, those cores with like Rocky Helmet, Toxapex plus Mandibuzz can check Choice Band, but Bulk Up will just eat them up. And especially if Sucker Punch is able to handle, your bulkier, your quicker Pokemon. And all of a sudden, you're losing 2 or 3 Pokemon or Urshifu if you're lucky. And honestly, I think that it's been really broken since the pre-DLC metagame, which I don't think is good. I think we probably should have dealt with it then, but we didn't really have the time to. I was still advocating for a suspect. It didn't happen. And unfortunately, I'm just one person on the council. I can't determine what happens with everyone and everything. So obviously I understand when, things that go against my direct wishes happen, because I'm just one person and one person can't dictate the entire tiering process. So if it's up to me, Urshifu is the next thing to get suspected. However, I completely understand why people might want Spectre to be suspected or Magearna to be suspected. And let's talk about those Pokemon as well, because you guys now know how I feel about Urshifu. I think Urshifu is limiting, and I think it's been too much for a while, and I'm kind of done with it at this point. So what about Spectra in the metagame? Now, Spectra is a special case because, in my opinion, in the team builder, it's the single most restrictive Pokemon in the metagame. And it's very hard to prepare for as a direct extension of that. Mandibuzz, yeah, it's good, but you get Wisp and then eventually you can't break your sub and it becomes really annoying. Okay. Blissey, sure, but you can't touch it without Shadow Ball. Okay, so that's annoying too. Go down the list. Tyranitar, okay, Tyranitar actually handles it really well, I'll give it that. And then you kind of get some fringe things. You know, Hydreigon, yeah, this bulky Hydreigon actually can deal with it pretty nicely, I'll give it that. I'm just gonna burn this, screw it. I want this dead, I don't like freaking Scyther. Yeah, we can live this easy. I don't know, I wasted it here, but it's fine. Anyway, so then you get things like Tyranitar, yeah, that deals with it well, but Hydreigon, yeah, they can deal with it well, but you gotta watch out for Nasty Plot Hex over time. And you think more and more and more and more into it, and honestly, I'm at the point where, oh, I love that, that's nice. I'm at the point where I just don't think it's worth it. I really don't. I should just max guard here so I can save this, yeah. I feel as if we're at a point in time where maybe we need to think outside the box when it comes to checking Spectra. And then I started using teams with like Special Defensive Protect Heatran plus a Revenge Call like Dragapult. Or I started using Blissey sets that don't have Shadow Ball with Teleport with things like, you know, Dragapult or a faster U-turn / Volt Switcher. And I started using things like Scarf Landorus T with a reliable Defogger and, you know, any Dark type that's viable like an Urshifu. And I realized that while it's not like super foolproof and convenient, you can actually beat Spectre like fairly reliably with these teams. I mean, I don't even use Mandibuzz much at all anymore, and I still feel sort of okay with it in the battle. So now I'm wondering, is it more of a paper threat or a practice threat? And now I'm thinking, you know, I actually feel like a lot of people don't make the most out of their utilization of Spectra. I feel like a lot of people use like Scarf and the mono attacking sets with only Hex, and I feel like there's like a whole spectrum of things you can do. No sets aren't bad, but I feel like if we use more Specs and more, you know, Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, and maybe more Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, and honestly, like Nasty Plot, Dual Ghost Move even, and all these sets, I feel like what makes Spectre as good as it is, and it is clearly very, very good, is simply the fact that it's so versatile with what it can do in such a limited amount of moves. And I know that might sound weird, but you can kind of handpick your checks and counters besides Tyranitar, which is going to be universal, with it. For example, Nasty Plot Shadow Ball can really dent Heatran, and can potentially break through something like, say, Special Defensive Toxic with Haze. On the contrary, though, let's say you run a Calm Mind set. Calm Mind sets can really beat up on bulky stall teams, especially if you have the ability to Hex the unaware Pokemon, or if you're running Shadow Ball. I'm going to die to this, but I don't care. Okay, you know what? He's going to give us this. It's fine. So if you think it through, I feel like no one Spectre set's broken. But I feel like the combination of the sets actually makes it so that despite there being limited counterplay and each set having counters, it's actually sort of, while manageable, collectively challenging. So I feel as if that dynamic certainly isn't something that's very helpful to the whole Spectre checking and countering experience, if you will. Wow, that's a mouthful. We're doing a U-turn here. It's fine. I'm no item. I could aggro. I'm going to aggro. Screw it. It'll do like 40. It does 46 with like crit. Okay, it did less, and that just died. That's kind of sad. This'll live. Yeah, boy. Give me them rocks. This is ending horribly. Anyway, that aside, so I feel like oh, that's an unfortunate crit. I feel like Spectre is probably up there. I could see it getting banned. I could see it being broken. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm all the way there yet. It's kind of hard to say. I don't know why he's subbing. I'm just going to spam Earthquake. Yeah, that's fine. We probably died to this, honestly. But that aside, so I feel like Spectre, I definitely can see why it's gaining traction in some suspect arguments, but I don't know if it's all the way there yet. But next off, the real elephant in the room, Magearna. Now, Magearna, a lot of people think is broken by default due to the sheer versatility that it displays, and I'm not there yet. I don't agree. I think it is suspect worthy, you know, maybe a little bit of a future metagame behind these two, but at the same time, I feel like there's no one set that's actually very broken. Think about it. I mean, you have, say, Specs Magearna, which it obviously hits very hard. It's a strong Pokemon, and that's great. We need strong Pokemon in the metagame. But is it broken? I mean, with the abundance of ground types, spamming Volt Switch is super challenging, and Flare Cannon is very easily sponged in this metagame with the abundance of Poison and Steel and even Fire types. I feel as if it's really hard to say, oh, Specs Magearna does what it could do in the prior metagame. Because the prior metagame, it pretty much forces you to use like Toxic plus Excadrill, but this metagame, you know, we're seeing a lot more things that could soft check and counter the spec set. And there are other sets to it, of course. You get the setup sets, which perhaps more people think might be leading to it being broken, but I can't pinpoint one set that's broken. The stored power sets, they can be very good, but against defensive teams with Haze, Toxapex, they're never breaking through. And the coverage-oriented sets, while they can break through those after a couple combined, they're also limited to specific coverage, so you have to pick and choose a lot of things that are going to counter you. And not just, oh, this set's going to be won by one or two things. No, it's talking like 5, 6, 7 things. And all in all, while Moderna kind of has that Spectra thing where it can handpick its checks and counters, I feel as if it needs a turn or two to actually get to the point where it's actually forcing teams to pick those checks and counters. And I don't think that's really the most unhealthy dynamic. And I've seen a lot of people making arguments as to why Moderna is broken in this metagame and comparing it to where it was in the last metagame. And I don't think it's anywhere near as good as it was in the last metagame, in the DLC 1 metagame. Why? Because it doesn't really do the same things it did before. I mean, think about it. The spec set was mostly why it was broken before. The spec set and also screens with weakness policy. But now we're seeing more Pokemon that are able to deter that. You know, Heatran isn't minding stored power plus Draining Kiss. You get a taunt off it, it's going to need so many different boosts to really be able to do that trick. And moreover, it really isn't something that's actually problematic unless you're unprepared for it or using offense of your own and your offense manages to trigger the weakness policy. Yes, that's one condition where I 100% agree, but all in all, I don't understand those quarrels individuals may have with that. Beyond that, I also feel like saying that, oh, Magearna has too many setup sets is not actually a good argument to ban it. Like, considering that unless you have Focus Blast rolled by Heatran, unless you have Thunderbolt, yeah, Stored Power isn't doing it against his Toxapex, you know, unless you have Focus Blast plus Draining Kiss, you can't really beat Blissey. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. That's just 3 things, too, and they're very common things. You're going to have specific coverage to beat all the ground types that are coming right now, and in addition to that, Volt Switch spammability with the spec set is an all-time low, which is basically what was broken to begin with before, the fact that it forced that. So now, I mean, if you look at the top 15 Pokemon, you know, over half of them actually beat Magearna right now, which, okay, that's just one thing. But then you look at how they beat it, and a lot of them beat multiple sets. There's overlap. And, you know, in the metagame before, without Heatran, without more room for specially defensive Toxic, without specially defensive Magearna, because yes, bulky Magearna is pretty good right now. Without Melmetal, for example, you know, it wasn't really possible to keep all of Magearna's sets in check as easily. But nowadays, I feel like it's actually like readily possible. So in conclusion, if I had to put Magearna on a scale of like 1 to 10, with 10 being, oh my god, this thing should have been quick banned, and 1 being, you know, it's not broken at all, I'm at a 4 or a 5. Whereas with Spectra, I'm at a 6 or a 7, and with Urshifu, I'm at a 7 or an 8. So if it was up to me, and it's clearly not up to just me, again, as I said, I personally would look into Urshifu first. And I've been noticing a lot of people saying the same thing, but I've also been noticing a lot of people talking about Magearna first. And Spectra hype has been there since the release of it, so we're kind of at a crossroads where we gotta decide what's best. And personally, again, I'm for Urshifu, and I think that really it's hard to justify keeping Urshifu in the tier. So yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. I really think that there's some way that you can argue for all 3 of them. I think you could also eventually argue for Cinderace. I don't think Cinderace is there yet, but maybe in the future. I also think you could probably argue for Toxapex and Clefable. More so Toxapex, because I don't really think Clefable is a big problem at all right now, quite frankly. I just think it's used because it's good. It's not really broken or anything. I'm kind of just clicking through this game, but oh, Brock here, yeah. But I think you could argue Toxapex. I think it's kind of a 3rd/4th option right now, as opposed to one of the most broken Pokemon. And I also think that right now we're in a place where finally there's less pressure to use Clefable and Toxic with Pheromosagon, that I wouldn't be opposed to letting the metagame settle for a couple of days, maybe a week or 2. But beyond that, I do think we should stay proactive. I think that we should continue to monitor the metagame. And I'm not saying, oh, we need to suspect something frequently, because I think that patience is a virtue, and I think that we could find ourselves in a better position if we really sat back for a second and said, what's going to happen here? Let's see what's going to happen here. Let's play it out for a couple of days and then make our conclusion instead of just rushing to it. Because we kind of were in a sprint during DLC 1 later stages and during even the pre-DLC 1 metagame, where we had a lot to deal with, and that was kind of crazy. You know, we're going to max Airstream. We're going to live this once we Dynamax. We're going to max Airstream, and it's going to get screwed. I think. Actually, Spectral Thief's going to steal our Swords Dance, isn't it? You know what? I'm regretting this, but I'm not unclicking it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say. Please let me know in your comments down below. And these are just my kind of brief thoughts. I figured this would make for a good Sunday video. Sunday videos tend to be more chill, and I didn't really feel like doing anything too try hard today. It's Saturday night, so yeah, I had family and stuff before, so. Oh, this is amazing. Get out of there. Now, yeah, this is a crazy sweep. Oh my goodness. Nice. Yeah, Flygon. Let me just get that 2nd speed boost for the sake of it, in case we need that for something. I think this should die to a +2. Okay, well, he goes Maractus. That's hella dead. Yeah, alright. This went really well. But, yeah, no, let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys want to see more, check out the Twitter. Check out the, check out the Discord, and be sure to subscribe if you guys enjoy it. Like the video if you want to see more. Sorry, vice versa. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. And be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm reading through all the comments. Sometimes it's a day or two delayed, but yeah, no, it's amazing engaging with you guys and having this community. So yeah, oh my god, it lived. That's funny. Oh, it actually got the kill. Cool. So yeah, but all right, that's all I got for you guys now. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till this game ends, and then I'll end the video. I guess it's gonna be like a 15-minute video on just me ranting about what's broken in SSU or not so much broken in SSU. And again, really curious to hear your guys' thoughts. And I'm gonna get counterswept by this Arndt. I'm gonna yawn it. Yeah. Hopefully, he just knocks me off and he doesn't super fast. Just contrary. So yeah, but this is the problem here. I'm gonna go Halucha. He knocked us off. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna start Sword Dancing while to sleep. And now I'm just gonna start Brave Birding. Yeah. I could close combat here. Yep. Lived. Okay, we're good to go. Thank God. But yeah, no. Let me know your thoughts on this. Just my little kind of rant / discussion / what's broken, what's not broken video. All right, guys. Peace out. Bye bye. Have a great day.